Hi, I'm Steve. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite MIDI functions called quantizing, and you can see the window up there on the screen. You can use quantizing with MIDI very, very effectively, but you can also use it with audio files. But today we're just going to be talking about MIDI, as this is one of the main functions I use when recording virtual instruments. As you can see, I've got a window here called Quantize, but let's get rid of that. I have loaded in here some drums, and I'm going to play some of those, and we're going to go through and we're going to play around with the quantizing functions. Now, what does quantizing do? Quantizing helps you very quickly to lock things into the grid in certain ways and to manipulate your notes in that way to help your performance be much more accurate, I guess. And so it's very reliant on the grid. So let's first have a look at our grid over here. The grid is these blue and grey lines, well, blue and light blue, they look grey on the grey background. I've got mine set at 1/8 notes or quavers, and I've got them set at a triplet here as well. I can turn that off and you can see the grid change here whenever I move it around. Triplets. See, the notes are quite a lot finer in there now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a small performance, and then I'm going to go through and manipulate it using quantizing, and you can see how to do it. So let's go back to our Persian battle drums. If you want to know what a Persian battle drum looks like, it looks like that. It's awesome. They sound like that. And I've got my Persian battle drums from East West Sounds, Storm Drum 2, and they are fantastic. So, and they're hit with sticks, and I assume they use them in battle. Anyway, back to Pro Tools. Let's do a quick performance. I've got my tempo set at 130 BPM. I don't have any pre-rolls or post-rolls on. So let's get into it. Okay. Now, as you can see, most of the beginning was fairly straight. It's going to be locked into the grid quite nicely. All the way up to about this point here where I've added in some rolls. Let's expand this so we can see a bit more of what we're doing. Now, again, I could double click on this and create a whole new window with my MIDI performance in there. I don't like that. I'm just going to do it all in here. Now, I'm in clip mode at the moment, so I can manipulate the entire file, or I can just highlight sections of it and manipulate it. So let's start by finding out how to get to the quantizing window. So you can go up here to the menu bar, press Event, scroll down to Event Operations, and hit Quantize, and it will open up this gorgeous little window. And this is our quantizing window. It's the same window for all different event functions like velocity, duration, transposing, all this sort of jazz. We're not going to talk about input quantize at the moment. We're just going to be talking about quantizing in post-production. So back out of there. Up the top here, I'll have to highlight my clip for anything to come up there. So what to quantize? We can decide whether to quantize just where the notes come in, where they start, because as you can see, if I scroll in further, they're not exactly accurate, and sometimes you don't want them to be. Like with a really, see, I'm way off in some of these. With a really solid rhythmic performance, yeah, you do want to quantize certain elements of it, or most of it at least, and sometimes all of it. With a nice solo piano performance or something like that, you really kind of want to keep the human factor of it. Now you can add a bit of randomizing in here if you want to, by clicking that and moving it around, whatever percentage randomizing you want on there. Let's just keep that off for now. You can also, so we're working with a rhythmic section, so we're going to be quantizing most of it. So you can quantize the note off as well. If you click that, you can make it lock into 1/8 notes or crotchet notes or whatever you like, in triplets or dotted notes or anything like that, and let me show you in a second. But if you unclick that, it'll just preserve the note duration, or you can even unclick that as well, and it will just move the front and keep the tail end where it is. So let's start by having a look at, I'll scroll out just a little bit, the first section. I'll just highlight that, and if I was just to well, I know that I've just performed it in triplets, so I need to click 1/8 notes, triplets. And I can just go and press apply. The other way to do it is to click on tuplets in here, 3 in time 2. But I've just got it as triplet notes here. It's doing the same thing. And I'm just going to undo. Watch this section here move around. I press apply and bam, it's locked all my notes in. And here's the performance now. Right, locked in. That's what I want. Now, you've got to be careful. What you can do is you can go into notes as well, and you can just quantize the ones that you select. Like if you have nothing selected, up here you can see what to quantize is grayed out. Excuse my green tree frogs living in the corners of the room. They won't make a racket for very long. So you can highlight just some sections and quantize those, bam. Or you can just do a note, bam. Or you can select just random ones here and there by holding down shift and selecting, and it'll only do what you select, which is just a wonderful function. So let's just say you want to keep all your top ones, all the really high sharp sounds, really quantized, and the rest can just sort of float around. That's where you'll just go through and select a few of these guys here and hit apply. I'm just going to do all these guys, apply that, but the roll here, I don't want to do the roll. I've got to keep that as a roll. Okay, I'm going to keep that as is. So let me scroll out to the sections in between the rolls. Apply. Oh, I've missed some. And here we are, all the way to the end. Okay, so at the end here, it's a different rhythm, as you can hear. Okay, they're straight beats. They're not triplets. So if I was to quantize those now, it'll lock it into triplets. No, I don't want that. So I'll just go back and I'll do all these guys here as triplets. Sorry about the drums playing over me. And then I'll change it off triplets and do these last few. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Right. So now let's have a listen to our performance. Great. So there's a bit of quantizing in a nutshell. What we can do, and I haven't talked about these options down here. They're a bit more advanced. But what you can do is, let me just do a small other performance. It's just going to be fairly random. Now I don't know why that didn't come up as a recording. It should have. Oh, that's because I was just playing. Record. Okay, just all fairly random. Now I could just go through and quantize all those into triplets, and bam. Oh, sorry, that's not triplets. Undo. Let me do it this way this time. Apply. It's kind of cool, but what if I wanted to swing it a little bit? Add a little bit of swing, you know, you know. Now swing's a bit funny when it comes to triplets, so what we'll do is we'll just turn that off. Take the triplets off, we'll put it back to 4/4, add the swing. And you can hear that happening. If we can make that stronger, go 80% swing. That's a bit more gallopy. Right, so you can actually fine tune it quite a lot. I'll just undo that. You could also include all the notes, or just include the ones that are very, very close to the line. See how it only moved a couple? Have a close look down here. It only moved the ones that are very close to the grid lines. The ones that are way out, it didn't even touch. So we'll just increase that to like 50%. You watch them all now. Still more moved, but not all of them. But if we just did that, it'll do every note. And you can do the same thing with excluding and the strength. Undo. Let's turn the strength of the quantizing down to 30%. It pulls it, but not all the way. 50%. Pulls it, not all the way. 70%. Pulls it, not quite all the way. 100%. Pulls it right in onto the actual beat. So with this strength, that's where you can maintain a level of human sort of performance and errors. That's what gives life to your performance. So if you really want to maintain a level of error, inconsistency, vulnerability, humanizing to your performance, you want to turn that down just a touch to around about, I don't know, wherever you want. Experiment, play around with it. And away you go. So yes, quantizing, we've looked at where to open this. What I didn't say is how to open it as a shortcut, and that is Option numbers pad 0. And it just pops up exactly the same window as we had before. And it keeps your settings. Righto. Go and have fun and do good with your music. Fantastic.